Hello there everyone, Nintendo Gen 64 is here, and welcome to a new video on my channel that features my face in it, and this is not for a bad reason this time. Um, yeah, today I decided to start a new series of videos on my channel known as like Nintendo Gen 64's Top 10 Countdowns, and what that's going to be is every Friday, because I think today's Friday, I hope today's Friday, every Friday I'm going to be doing a Top 10 Countdown. I'm going to be doing a different one every Friday, and yeah, I'm going to start with this one today, which I've actually been wanting to do for about 3 or so weeks now, but for some reason I haven't got around to it. Like, I did record this, but it went for 45 minutes, so I decided to scrap that one because most of that was just me rambling. So, yeah, this is going to be a Top 10 Countdown it's going to be a video response kind of thing to Ratchet 5's video that he did on time travel reviews. God, that's a mouthful, isn't it? Called the Top 10 Movies That I Hate But Everyone Likes. So, sit back and enjoy the first in my series of Top 10s with Nintendo Gen 64's Top 10 Movies That I Hate But Everyone Likes. Number 10. Okay, so number 10 on my countdown is going to be Spider-Man 2. Now, I know a lot of people reckon Spider-Man 2 is the strongest movie of the original, not the original, there's only one trilogy, of the Spider-Man trilogy, but in my opinion, I find it very boring and very bland, and it seems like nothing was really accomplished in the entire movie. It seems like the whole movie was just to serve the purpose of Mary Jane and Peter Parker getting together, which I think they could have easily done that in. They could have ended Spider-Man 1 like that and started Spider-Man 3 like that. I find Tobey Maguire to be very boring in this movie, and I find this movie that the plot is kind of solely driven by these two characters, and I don't particularly like either of them. And I find that the whole Doctor Octopus thing is just, it seems very, in my opinion, very downplayed, and I think that's the most interesting plot in the Doctor Octopus one, but they seem to push that to the side a bit to focus on Peter Parker and Mary Jane's like love life kind of thing. So yeah, I found the plot of this one kind of boring. I found the characters themselves not very likable. I found it very weird as well. Like, most of the supporting actors and like the extras in this movie, very, very weird in my opinion. But so yeah, Spider-Man 2, it's only number 10 on my list because I don't really hate it too much, but it's not as strong as the other ones in my opinion. Even though I do like Spider-Man 3, even though a lot of people say that's a horrible movie, but yeah, Spider-Man 2, it's yeah, like I said before, the plot is very boring, and the interesting stuff they don't really focus on too much. Well, the interesting stuff to me anyway. So, Spider-Man 2, number 10 on my top 10 movies that I hate but everyone likes. Number 9. Okay, number 9. Number 9 is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. That's the new one with Johnny Depp in it. Now, the reason I don't like this movie too much is because, quite frankly, it's not the original. When I was a kid, I really did, like, not for lack of a better phrase, fall in love with the original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I just found that movie very interesting, very warm, very zany, very deep and meaningful. It was the whole package. I think everyone found that movie very enjoyable. But it seems like when they remade it, I know they did follow on from the book. They followed to the book very, steadily. But the new one with Johnny Depp in it and whatever that kid's name is, I found that movie very unlikable. I found that Johnny Depp didn't play he played a very sterile, very weird, but for a different reason, version of Willy Wonka. He played like this kind of creepy guy that you wouldn't want to meet in a dark alley, which is not what Gene Wilder's Willy Wonka was really like. And yeah, I found also I didn't really like the sets. Now the sets was a big problem for me because most of the sets it was just like either a desolate place with like a few. Well, this is like in the outside areas. There's like a plain with one house in it, or something like that, or streets that are like all overcast and very cold looking. And also in the chocolate factory, it's all like white and very sterile, which I didn't really like. I like the old movies, uh, for lack of, well, not lack of a better word, I like the old movies, like handmade sets, and like it looked like they were actually in a chocolate factory. And this one, it looked like they were in like a CGI animated chocolate factory, which I didn't really like that much. Like I said before, I didn't really like Johnny Depp's performance as Willy Wonka. It seemed kind of sterile to me, and I found all the supporting characters like most of the kids. I found the kids quite annoying, but I didn't mind the kids though, because in this movie the kids they had their degrees of rottenness. In the original one, they were all pretty the same degree of rottenness in my opinion. But yeah, the kids I didn't mind the kids, but apart from that, I found it too sterile, not very welcoming, and in my opinion, just weird. So, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, number 9. Number 8. Okay, number 8 is Total Recall, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. Now, the reason this movie is on my list is pretty much just because I don't think that Arnold Schwarzenegger is suited to this movie, and I found the plot very interesting, but I didn't find Arnold Schwarzenegger to suit in this movie. Now you're gonna find like a lot of movies on this list where I put them on here pretty much because I didn't like the main actor in it. But that's a big point, because if you don't like the main character in this, then you're not going to really like the movie itself, because the movie is going to be focusing on that main character. Now, I didn't like Arnold Schwarzenegger in this pretty much because, for the same reason I don't like him in Junior, he has to play an intelligent person. Now, this is no offense on Arnold Schwarzenegger, but he can't really play intelligent people. He can only play like the action guy, or I don't know, just the action guy. That's pretty much it. Like the Terminator. That's that kind of character where they just like carry a gun around and shoot people. Now, he did this in this movie, but he was also figuring out this kind of conspiracy kind of thing, which it didn't seem like Arnold Schwarzenegger is the kind of person to go around and be smart enough to figure out this kind of stuff that he did in Total Recall. So yeah, it seems very out of place in my opinion. So yeah, that's just my opinion. But yeah, Total Recall, number 8 on my list of movies that I hate but everyone likes. Number 7. Ooh, okay, number 7. Number 7 on my list is School of Rock. Now, this is another one of those I don't like the main character, which it seems like Jack Black always does this. He's always in movies where he either A, plays like some kind of a rock and roll person, or B, plays some kind of fat loser kind of thing. That seems to be, musician and fat loser is two archetype things that he always plays. So in this movie he plays musician, and Jack Black interacting with kids, it didn't seem very yeah, I don't know. I just didn't like Jack Black and the kids. The kids were very annoying. I didn't find the kids very interesting at all. And it seemed like what they should have done in this movie is focus more on the kids than Jack Black, and focus like on building the characters of the kids up a bit, because they kind of did that to an extent, but they didn't really focus on the kids very much. They focused more on Jack Black and his flights more than they focus on the children. So if they focus on the children and each children's individualness and why they're going to this school and why they need to join this rock band to get away from their life kind of things, then I think that would have been interesting. But they didn't do that. They focused on Jack Black, and it was just your regular Jack Black movie, which I don't really like. So yeah, School of Rock, thanks to Jack Black and his dull performance. This is number 7 on my list. Number 6. Alright, number 6, this is not so much a movie as it is a television serial, but it is actually classified as a movie, so I'm putting this on my list anyway, because I saw it in school the other month. It's the 2009 version of Wuthering Heights. Now, Wuthering Heights is a very boring book. I'm not gonna lie, it's a very boring book. And the movie itself made it even more boring. This movie is incredibly dull. It focuses on you... It's banking itself on the fact that you're going to find this guy, Heathcliff to be some kind of a dark horse kind of character, like the rugged kind of man, like very rugged and dark. But it didn't really come off like that to me. It came off more like he's just this loner kind of thing, like loner guy who doesn't want to be with people. And he's supposed to be a very rebellious character, but he didn't seem very rebellious to me. And it seemed like Catherine really went for the wrong guy. I didn't see why Heathcliff is more favorable over Edgar Linton, in my opinion. But because I really did like Edgar Linton's character, but they made him like the bad guy in this movie, which I found very weird because his performance was much better than the guy who played Heathcliff. So yeah, it's very strange when you like the person more who you shouldn't like, but for some reason you do, because the whole point of the movie is that you don't like this guy, but I found him much more enjoyable to watch than Heathcliff, because Heathcliff came off to me as boring, and a bit of a boring loner asshole. So yeah, I didn't like Heathcliff in this movie. And I didn't like Catherine either. She seemed to be very misguided and going after Heathcliff for all the wrong reasons. So yeah, this is not Romeo and Juliet, Wuthering Heights, which is number 6 on my list. Number 5. Alright, number 5 is Elf, and I'm not going to talk about Elf very much because it's pretty much on here for the same reasons as I don't like School of Rock. Will Ferrell, I can't stand the guy. I can't stand Will Ferrell, and I found that his portrayal, like, he's too innocent. We know Will Ferrell's not an innocent person, and when he plays his innocent buddy, it's like, oh my god, Will Ferrell, you're scraping the bottom of the barrel. So yeah, didn't like Will Ferrell in this, didn't like this movie. I found this movie very, very horribly written. I didn't find it very nicely written, because you're supposed to side with Will Ferrell's character, but I found him annoying most of the time, and I just wanted to, like, I was happy for the scenes that he wasn't in. So yeah, Elf, number 5 on my list. Number 4. Okay, number 4 is Romeo plus Juliet. This is the 1990 something. I can't remember which year it was made, but yeah, Romeo and Juliet. The main problem I have with this movie is that it's trying to be different. Now, that's not a bad thing most of the time, but it is in this case, because what they're doing with this movie is they're setting it in modern day times, but they're setting it in modern day times, but they're trying to make it like appealing to this day and age, but they use the same language and the same references and stuff and that kind of thing that they had in the Shakespearean time. Like, they speak in Shakespearean language, which I find very weird and very out of place. But what they do with this is they try to make it funny and they try to make it interesting and that kind of thing. But it didn't come off as interesting. It came off as very out of place and very odd, and I didn't really enjoy it very much, because they were trying to appeal to a modern audience, but they just didn't. They failed horribly, in my opinion, because of the fact that they only went halfway with the modern audience thing. What they should have done is they should have put language in English, put references in English, put humor in English, and just leave it in modern day English and in a modern day time, rather than sitting in a modern day time and speaking Shakespearean. It seems like they went halfway, but they didn't go all the way, in my opinion. So yeah, Romeo and Juliet, didn't like this movie too much, so it's number 4 on my list. Number 3. Now, I'm going to say that probably no one watching this has seen my number 3. My number 3 is Tsotsi, which is a South African independent film that was released in 2005, I think. Now, the main premise of Tsotsi is that there's this African guy living in one of these slums in South Africa, and he goes and tries to rob off this lady, steals her car, and in her car is her newborn baby. So the whole movie is just centered around him looking after the baby and that kind of thing, which, you know, is a good premise and all. The guy is an asshole. I really hate this guy, and I feel like the baby I really feel for the baby in this, and the people like who he stole the baby off, because like the guy has no redeemable qualities, and that's the entire point of the movie, is that you try to see some redemption in him, but it just came off as this guy was an asshole, and I didn't like him whatsoever. Like, the first 10 minutes of the movie, you see him stab a guy in the train, rob off, and steal a baby off a lady, and shoot the lady. And also, he, for some reason, attacks a cripple for no reason. He doesn't even have the baby when he does this, he just attacks a cripple. So, yeah, this movie is Sossy's an asshole in my opinion in this movie. Even though he does have a horrible upbringing, he's still. If they were trying to do something good, they should have made it so that he regretted doing the things he did, but he didn't. He didn't seem to regret anything. He didn't seem to regret stealing the baby. He didn't seem to regret hurting the cripple guy, and he didn't seem to regret shooting the woman. So, what are we supposed to feel for this guy? Nothing. All I felt for this guy was that he deserved to get shot at the end, and spoilers, he doesn't get shot at the end. So, yeah, Sotsy didn't like the main character. That was the entire premise, that you did like the main character, and because of that, didn't like the movie. So, yeah. Number 2. Okay, number 2 on my list is James Bond: Quantum of Solace. Now, this is only number 2 because I think the number 1 movie is liked a lot more, which is the reason that I'm doing this list, because it's a movie people like, but I don't like. So, number 2, yeah, James Bond: Quantum of Solace. Now, this movie has a lot of problems. The main problem is the plot is very convoluted and very dull as well. It's a James Bond movie. It's trying to be action-packed, but it's very dull in my opinion. And the plot is very unmemorable. Like, I can't even remember. It's like something to do with like an organization of people, and James Bond is trying to find them all out or something. Is that it? I can't remember. That's the problem. I can't remember it. I only saw this movie like 2 years. Or actually, no, I saw it this year. I saw this movie again this year, and I should remember the plot, but I don't, which is a horrible. It's not. I have photographic memory, people. I have a photographic memory, and I shouldn't be forgetting the plot of this movie. So, yeah, James Bond: Quantum of Solace. The plot is very unmemorable. Daniel Craig. I don't like Daniel Craig. It's not a. He actually is a bad actor. I'm gonna say. It seems like all he does is the pouty face. Oh, I'm Daniel Craig. Oh, I'm always pouting. Oh, there's something horrible going on, but I'm Daniel Craig, kind of thing. So I didn't like Daniel Craig in this movie. Found the plot to be very, very contrived, very dull, and I can't remember it. So James Bond: Quantum of Solace, very unmemorable, very not very good movie. Number 2 on my list of movies that I hate, but everyone likes. Number 1. Okay, number 1 on my list is Gatica. Now, the main problem I have with Gatica is a culmination of all the problems I have with these other movies. First of all, I don't like Ethan Hawke's acting. I don't like Uma Thurman's acting in this. The only thing I do like is Jude Law's acting. This is a movie where Jude Law is bearable. Now, this movie, it seems like it has nothing going for it apart from the fact that prejudice is the entire thing that this movie is based on. Prejudice for people who have genetic deficiencies. That's it. Now, this wouldn't be too bad if it was made like 100 years ago, before any other movies about prejudice were made, but you know, you got your... Let's see, all these other movies are about prejudice as well. You got Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, which has underlying prejudice about some poor misfortunate kid. You know, the Elf, which has prejudice against like people who are immature in the head. Sotsy, which has prejudice against, you know, African people. But this movie, it doesn't represent prejudice, it just is prejudice. That's like the main problem. It is prejudice. There's nothing else. It's not representing anything, it's not doing anything, it's just prejudice, and that's it. That's the entire plot, is prejudice, which I find is, if they should have, this is one of those times where more is, or less is less, not less is more, because they should have actually had some other plot going forward in this movie, but Gattaca seems to be solely relying on the fact that you feel that all the people are being arseholes to this guy because he's got a genetic deficiency, which if Ethan Hawke was a interesting actor, I might have, but he's not a very good actor, so his dull performance, along with the very boring and unimaginative plot, they work together in making this movie a movie that I didn't find very interesting. I found it boring more than anything. Sure, the plot is kind of well written, but at the end of the day, I just found it boring, so, yeah, Gattaca is number 1 on my top 10 movies that I hate, but everyone likes. Yeah, stay tuned next week when I do my next top 10 list, which is going to be the opposite of this. It's going to be the top 10 movies that I like but everyone hates, because I think it's only fair that after I voice my opinions about the movies I don't like, that everyone else likes, I think it's time I put myself on the firing line and say the movies that I hate that I like but everyone else hates. So yeah. So you can criticize my movie choices rather than rather than me criticizing yours. So yeah, thank you for watching this list. I know this video I've been very stuttery, and I don't think I explained myself too well, and yeah, I've been getting my words and all that kind of stuff mixed up. So I apologize, but hopefully they'll get better. So Thanks for watching, and take care and see you later. Goodbye.